Okay. All right.
Yep.
Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are, what day it is. We're doing a online presentation on Sunday in Australia and a couple of other places in the Southern Hemisphere. For the rest of you, it's on the Saturday. We've done this now. What number is this one, Evan? 33?
33.
Okay, that's 1/3 of 100. And I've got to be honest, of the 33, in a lot of respects, this particular presentation would be, for me, the most important one we've done. And the reason is that we've got with us this time round both Binna Pownall and Uncle Frank Ansell. Is that correct? Now, it's going to be a tricky one, isn't it, Evan? Evan just did a couple of practice links. We do that. We don't just do it straight away, do we, Evan? We do practice links, so everything's tidied up. Uncle Frank is about 200 kilometres. Which direction from Alice, Evan? Not sure, but it's somewhere a long way.
One of the ones.
And reception's not stunning. We have backup plans where we might be talking into mobiles, but it did come off, didn't it? Sort of. They froze a bit, but it was working.
Yeah.
So we're going to try, because it's so important. There's no option, but we've got to. So what makes this particular presentation different than any others? Because it deals with something that I've held very close for quite some time. And in fact, I was doing this as a teacher. Uncle Frank is all about one thing. He wants to bring ceremony back. And he wants the younger people, particular boys, and eventually the girls. We can't do that straight away because Frank can't take the girls, can he? But Binna's got someone around here that's a woman who can do it too. We see this as, with Uncle Frank, if this works, we want to continue doing this. Now, what we're trying to do is Uncle Frank now, it's for quite some time, has been to the government and many different departments trying to get funding to take the boys out into country, give them ceremony and give them a point. And of course, they'll fund everything, won't they, Evan? But they will not fund this, will they? No. Why? I'll tell you why, because since 1967, when the referendum took place and Aboriginal people it was determined that Aboriginal people were actually people, rather than in 1965, Aboriginal people were counted in the census as flora and fauna. By the way, I'm not making that up. That's true. In 1967, they became semi-people. But that's it. That's as far as it goes to this day. They're still semi-people, aren't they? They're at the bottom of every pecking order there is in this country. And in fact, Aboriginal people are the most incarcerated people on this planet. Probably the most peaceful and the most incarcerated. Something's not working. Now, what the government's decided to do, particularly around Alice Springs, where Frank comes from, things got so out of hand, they decided they'd have to make a really meaningful long-term solution, didn't they? So what they did was, to sort out all the problems, they closed down the alcohol outlets for a month. And for a month, things were marginally better.
Barely sense of a Band-Aid.
A Band-Aid? The government doing a Band-Aid? I can't believe you thought that.
One of those Band-Aids that you
tear off after 10 minutes.
You have one shower and it falls off.
Yeah, that's what happened with this one.
Not even one of the ones that stick on.
Now, that doesn't include Kalgoorlie or 1,000 other places in Australia that are going through the same thing. And what it proved is one thing. What Einstein said was correct. If you keep trying to do the same thing again and again and again and it doesn't work, and you expect something's different, you're an idiot. I didn't quite say it quite like that, but that's what he meant. Well, we want to try something that isn't idiotic. Now, the problem is the government won't fund it. And Frank at the moment is, I think Binna said that there's third world poverty, but where he went to around that area is not third world poverty. He calls it fourth world poverty. It's very difficult for the elders to do something when they've got no way of doing it. Well, we think there is a way. And what we're going to do is we're going to put on this talk. And Frank's going to be talking. Hopefully, Lockie's going to be talking. We spoke to him just then.
Yep.
Hopefully, that's his grandson, because we want this to go across generations, which it's doing. And we're hoping we'll get them all on, and they'll talk about the plans they have and what they need to do. Now, we're going to be asking people if they can help in some way. Now, I want to make this clear. Obviously, one of the things we're looking for is some form of donation, but it's not a donation, is it, Evan?
Yeah,
It's something completely different. First up, we've got a picture, I think, a painting that's been done by Lockie, which we're going to auction. And I'm hoping people might be prepared to maybe spend a little bit more than they even think it's worth, and it is brilliant, simply because it's doing something more than just getting a painting. What we're asking people to do is to form a partnership with these people, and they're going to tell you how they want to do it. And that includes things like, if you want to start becoming involved in this and you want it to go through ceremony, they'll do it for you. That'll be part of it. We're thinking about having monthly meetings where all the people involved can get together and talk about where they're going and what they're going to do next. We want to make this a relationship and partnership between the people involved and those people out there. And I want to make one point. If you do feel predisposed to making some sort of financial commitment to this, either short or long term, 0.000% of that money goes to us, doesn't it, Evan?
Yeah, no, we're
providing all the implements, and we pay for the online services, don't we, Evan?
Yeah,
We pay
so
a lot for it.
Gifting.
Yeah, we're gifting everything. We're not taking a cent of this. So don't feel like somehow or other we've got an underlying reason for doing this. No, we don't. We don't have an underlying reason. We have a continual reason. Ceremony means everything. And in these days, it means even more than that. And if you don't have that ceremony, then you're left to your own devices. Now, if you're an original person in Australia, you have around about, if you're a male, you've got about an 85% chance of going to jail, which is a good start, isn't it?
Oh,
That'll get you off to a
straight
good
in
start,
there, yeah.
right? And then when you come out, you look around and you look at the future for yourself. Particularly, say you're living in Alice Springs where there's no employment, no prospects, and nothing. You wake up in the morning and it's just like the morning before, and the morning is going to come. Nothing changes. It's a sort of horrific existence where you're between everything. Now, Frank is desperate and he's tried everything. What we're going to do is we're going to try and see if we can facilitate something here and run something that works long term, where everyone becomes involved. Black, purple, white, I don't care. That's not the point of this. This is something different that we're trying to do, to put together something that will mean something down the line. Now, if people start bringing back ceremony and start doing ceremony and go through the process of that, will that change and make them better people? Absolutely. Without a doubt. That's a given. I can guarantee that. Let me give you one very quick example of why I'm so committed to this. When Kano was with us, they had a group of people from South Australia, original people, that were selected by the police, weren't they? In fact, they were selected by the media. At that particular time, the media was saying there was a gang of Aboriginal people that wandering around the whole of South Australia, weren't they? And causing chaos and making people fearful. And they didn't know what to do with these so-called criminals. So what then happened was, it was decided they'd send all of these so-called original young criminals to Kano to do ceremony. And we'll talk about that more on the day. And there's a person writing about that right now, and there's a full description of this. There were 16 boys there. And do you know what? Of those 16, one reoffended and the other 15 never went near anything that was wrong again. If you can find a program on this planet that can take 16 people who have been identified by its community as of an immediate threat for the future, and then change the lives of 15 of these people straight away, do you know you saved that state millions of dollars in future money spent on police, on jails, on programs to try and turn these people around that never work anyway, do they?
Mm.
All those things, all the cost to society that these kids would have created down the line just disappeared with one 3-day visit to Kano. Now, what if there was an elder up Alice Springs way and another one we've got around this way up here that was running programs these kids and these young people and these older people could go back to time after time after time? Would it be an improvement? Absolutely. So what we're going to talk about on that, we'll do a little bit of archaeology. We're up to at the start just to keep that
Just
going.
keep updated.
Yeah, just a couple of updates. We've got a
And
couple
then-
of amazing updates, haven't we?
Yeah, and we'll also tell you about some of the programs we tried to get off the ground.
Oh, yeah. I'll be talking about programs we've done. And one program I did that was given the best report ever in New South Wales Department of Education for a program that wasn't based in a school. I ran it. And when I finished it, I demanded it get a review, and it got the best review I've ever read of anything. And it was about bringing elders into school and teaching them old way ceremony. And at the finish, we did a ceremony. And that ceremony wasn't sitting in a hall with a pen and reciting what someone else did.
Yep.
It was going down to the creek at the back of our place, and each of these kids had, all of the boys had a 3-pronged fishing spear, and they spent 2 hours throwing the spears into the water and never caught a fish. And at the end of them, I did say, you guys do know about refraction through water, don't you? And all the kids said the same thing. What's that, sir? Oh, it's a science lesson. And they all rolled their eyes. Oh, science.
I wasn't listening to that one.
Yeah. I said, well, here's the point. If you'd listen to that science lecture, you know that light reflects through the water and the fish isn't where you think it is. They all said, oh, why didn't you tell me that earlier? I said, well, you guys are senior students. I thought you'd been to school and heard those lessons. No, they didn't, but they do now. They learnt it in a different way. They learn about refraction, and they learnt the hard way, but they know all about refraction now. They've never
that'll
forgotten.
stay with them for the rest of their lives, right?
There's 2 ways to teach. One is out in country, doing it old way, and the new way.
So
Sitting in a classroom.
They missed getting a fish probably this big.
Yeah.
They'll remember that they didn't get that
Oh,
fish.
they remember the size of the
Yeah.
fish because they were big down there, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they're huge.
They're huge. They know that. It was
Yep.
about a 250-metre stretch of creek that's about a metre to a metre and a half and 2 metres deep in some parts. And it's got the largest population of platypus. And I told them not to shoot at the platypus, and they didn't. And fish. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be part of that, if you want to try and work out what we're doing, what I'm going to ask you to do is over the next couple of days, never done this before, if you've got friends that think that this might be something worthwhile, tell them there'll be very little archaeology there. A little bit at the start if they want. Don't watch the first half hour. After that, it will be always, yes, and someone said that's why I've homeschooled my boys from the beginning of their lives on Land with Heart. Well, that's a great comment, Facebook user. I don't know who you are, but I've got to tell
unfortunately,
you.
it doesn't always, the names don't always
No.
come up.
But I love that one
comment.
because you're spot on that. That's exactly what we want to do. On hand, on land, with heart, and guarded by the spirits. That's what Frank wants to offer. Now, if you want to, I can't believe that Pauline Hanson is talking about the same type of programs. For God's sake, if Pauline Hanson knows it works, and the Department of Education, I got to tell you this. When I tell you the story about this, I can tell you one part of it. It was so successful that when it finished, the principal came and told me and said, you've been refunded. And I said, but I haven't filled out a form. He said, yes, that's never happened before, but the department has decided to refund you without you asking. You've got to ask yourself, what is the Department of Education refunding that they didn't want any paperwork for? And it's a long and involved story, but I will be telling you about that.
Yeah.
And then we're going to lead on to Binner. He's going to tell you how this all came about. Then we're going to talk to Lockie and Frank, touch wood. But we've got backup plans. You will get to see them one way or the other, and you'll get to hear about what they want to do and what they need to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to make this a short one because we do have an article, but I don't want to put this up now because of the conflict, wouldn't it?
We'll do that
To
next
get in the
week. We'll
way.
see you next week.
Yeah,
with
we'll
an
see you
eye
next
on
week
that
with an
one.
article because we do a couple of those per month. But what I can tell you now is this, that what we're trying, it's not what we're trying to do. I want to make that point. It's not us, it's from them. The mob in the center, the mob that are dealing with a place in Australia that Australia has marked out as the worst race relations in anywhere in this country. So if you're going to start anywhere, let's go to the hornet's nest. And you know what? I can guarantee you something. If this program was to get up and was to be funded by individuals, not a government, not a company, I will guarantee you it will work better than any other program that's ever existed. Is that your Lollipop Man t-shirt, Evan?
Oh,
yes.
I've come straight from gardening.
Yeah, no, he had to race to get
shifts.
back here.
I've had to race.
And we've just come straight from a meeting with Lockie and Uncle Frank and Binner. And Binner was up on a hill in Tabulin. Lockie was out the back of nowhere in Alice Springs.
Yep. I think Binner had his laptop plugged into an inverter, which was plugged into his car battery.
Oh,
so, yeah, you know.
So we're going to try this. It's going to be tricky, and Evan's been spending 2 or 3 days trying to set this up. But what it's about the future.
Yeah, no, it's for everyone.
It's for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, non-Aboriginal children are able to learn from elders too. Absolutely. In fact, I'm pleased to say when we started this, because I'm really big about this through Kano and Wirrich and Blackfella, Whitefella Dreaming, I was quite pleased and happy to hear the first thing he said is this is not a colour thing, didn't he? I don't care about the colour. That's got nothing to do with it. And you'll find that the program, the Aboriginal program that was instituted in Mullumbimby High School, didn't come from blackfellas. It came from a demand from all the women that had children at that school where they said they wanted blackfella teaching for their whitefella boys. So this is nothing about black, nothing about white, nothing about purple. It's about being a human and what is missing. And I want to say to you, if you've got a child and you think the initiation they do at the moment, which is to take a pen, to sit in a massive hall and find out how well you can repeat what another person said, which is half the time wrong anyway.
Or driving a car really fast and unsafe. That's
what a lot of kids at Mullum used to do, driving cars fast and unsafe and crashing them. Some of them died. There's a better way. And that's what we're talking about. So what I'm asking you to do, if you could please, ladies and gentlemen, could you let other people know that if they could come along to this, and remember, it's free for a whole day. If they can't make it at that time, tell them come at some other time.
Yeah, if you're over in Europe, it'll be up for you to watch at a decent time.
At a decent time. If in America, as you know by now, America ties in very well with our stuff.
That's their evening.
Europe doesn't, nor does Africa, but you can watch it. You've got a full day where it's free, okay? And what I'd like you to think about is seriously have a listen to what we've got to say, what we're trying to do, and whether you would not like to be a donor. I want to make this clear, and we've all agreed on this. This is a partnership where the partners are part of this. And look, if you're living in America and you want to come and do ceremony, that doesn't matter. That's fine. If you're living in Alice Springs and you want to do ceremony, that's fine too. We're open for everywhere. If it works the first time in Alice, then we want to do one on the coast, and then we want to start pushing this. I've got to make the point, ladies and gentlemen, if that program that I had initiated in Mullum had continued, I wouldn't be doing archaeology. This is all I ever wanted to do, but then I will tell you why it stopped at the finish.
Yeah, we'll say something for the day.
Say something for the day, because it was going well, but then I realised why they were using it. Their motives in the Department of Education were not the same as ours. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, please think about joining us on the Saturday or Sunday, and please share this around and try and get your friends and others just to come to this one, not the others, and remind them half an hour of archaeology. If you can get through that after that, it's all about the original people and not the problem, but the solution. And nothing's more important than a solution. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you can, and if you will, come and join us. And if you know others who would like to be interested in this, please come along. Okay, we won't go any longer today. I wanted to make this short for once so that we can get that
we're under 20 minutes. So
I was going for under 10.
No, I know you were.
Oh, God.
That was never going to happen.
No,
but anyway, see you all in about a day and a bit.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.